Thank you, David. You're watching TSN, the exclusive home of the Canadian Football League and the Grey Cup. It's the Argos 2010 home opener with the roof open as Toronto entertains Calgary to kick off week number 3 in the CFL. It is warm and muggy in southern Ontario, where the Stampeders will play their second game in 5 days, and it feels like 34 Celsius here at Rogers Centre.
Cleo Lemon's coach Jim Barker, and maybe more importantly his teammates, love his toughness, love his leadership. Lemon got his first win as a Toronto Argonaut last week versus the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, looking for a home win here tonight. Henry Burris, a workmanlike 2-0. A couple of interceptions, a couple of touchdowns. The numbers don't jump off the page, but it's a good sign when you're winning and not playing at your very best.
And his coach John Hufnagel targeted a 3-0 start. When the Stampeders broke training camp, a win would be their first 3-0 start to a season since 2000. Big win for Jim Barker on Friday night in Winnipeg. He says the next challenge for the Argos on the road to credibility is start stringing wins together. Hard to believe they have not won 2 straight since back in 2007.
But he's seeing the development he wants to see, especially from the quarterback position. He's getting some help from his special teams. Jamie Borm on his way out.
And there's Dion Murphy. And will the trend in the early season continue with the special teams magic? Murphy with a 105-yard return on Saturday afternoon in Hamilton. And of course, Chad Owens had a 90-yard punt return against Calgary in week 1 and a missed field goal return of 117 yards on Friday in Winnipeg. Here we go. Week 3 begins as Jamie Boren kicks it off. And it is Dion Murphy from his 12. Rookie kick returner, and Jeff Johnson trips him up as he crosses the 35. Decent field position for Henry Burris.
Offensively, the Calgary Stampeders have former Argonaut receiver PK Sam in the lineup. 7 catches for 62 yards for Sam so far this season. They are very close to getting Kenyon Rambo back. There's the offensive line. Steve Middleton at guard beat out John Gott in training camp and gets his 3rd start.
Starting lineups are brought to you by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona doing it right, and Henry Burris just keeps it there. Not sure if that was by design.
No. Broken play out of the gate for the Calgary Stampeders. The Toronto Argonauts on defense, when you look up front in their front 7, they did not have Adriano Belli in the game against Calgary in week 1. They did have him last week. Of course, last week was the Argos' first win of the season. Probably no coincidence. And one guy who had a great game on the secondary last week was Willie Middlebrooks. Had that first interception 2010.
Argos would love to create a 2-and-out here after spending 42 minutes on the field defensively in week 1 against Calgary. And the ball is picked off. Kevin Iben out of the hands of Robbie Bryant, who had a couple of drops in Hamilton, and a costly error here. And the veteran Kevin Iben has an Argonaut interception on the 2nd offensive play of the game.
Well, it's on Robbie Bryant because that ball was a little bit high from Henry Burris, but one that Robbie Bryant, who is leading the Calgary Stampeders in receiving after 2 weeks, comes up with 99% of the time. To the right of your screen, just a simple slant pattern. He had an opening. Again, a ball a little bit high, but you could see he had both hands on it, juggled it. Kevin Iben right on the spot.
3rd interception of the year for the Argonauts defense, and the 3rd thrown by Burris. And here's Corey Boyd, and it opens up left side. And Boyd got the edge and is down to the 20-yard line. Close to 24 for Corey Boyd, who had the most rushing yardage in week 2 of any running back at 109.
Again, the timing not real good here, as you're going to have motion this way and Corey Boyd coming back the opposite way, and they kind of get crossed up right at the junction, but it works for the Argos this time because he's able to bounce it outside and use his speed.
So they mark it at the 21, 23 for Boyd, and an Argo first down. Lemon on a roll, Tom Johnson in pursuit. And he throws across his body back for Chad Owens, and that's another Argonaut first down.
Well, you got to believe that Chad Owens, with what he's done on the special teams, will be more and more involved with the offense for the Toronto Argonauts as this season goes on. And this time it's Cleo Lemon rolling out to his right, taking his time, waiting for the receivers to open up. And it was Owens who found that spot.
12 for the Flying Hawaiian. And a first and goal. Fake to Boyd, and there's Andre Dury to the corner. And he'll be marked out at the 1.
Well, once you get that running game going, Corey Boyd comes through one side and they slip Drury out the other side. He juggled it briefly, but was able to hang on and get it down to the 1.
Now remember, Saturday afternoon, a critical goal line stand
absolutely
for the Calgary Stampeders to vault them into a win when Hamilton couldn't push through. It'll be Boyd, left side. He can't get there on the first surge, and no signal. Pretty good second effort to get close to the goal line, and Jim Barker's got an early decision.
Two guys in that goal line stand against Hamilton that were big were Tom Johnson in the middle and Devon Claybrooks. That time there was penetration outside, but you're right. Jim Barker now has to decide. And you know what he likes to do. As a former coach, he liked to do that Don Matthews style of on-the-edge decisions. This is one of them. He's going for it.
3rd and goal from the 1. And the officials want to meet here.
Mike Clemens in attendance in behind Jim Barker in that shot.
Looking on to see if the Argos can strike first. It is Boyd, straight ahead, nothing doing. Brandon Browner, the corner, was waiting, and another big goal line stand for the Stamps.
All the motion for the Argos going to the left, and they're trying to fool Calgary defensively, hoping that they're going to overreact to that side of the field and that side of the formation, and then they go back the opposite way. See the motion coming to the left, Johnson coming to the left, and Boyd sort of straight in the middle. But Brandon Browner had pinched down from the corner because he didn't have a receiver to cover out there. So he pinches down, and he's able to make contact along with, I believe, Charleston Hughes.
I think it was Charleston Hughes who helped slam the door shut. Calgary takes over deep in their own territory, but no blood drawn as Reynolds brings it out across the 5. There's the old CFL cornerback in 09.
Blocked field goal last week. He also was instrumental down on that goal line stand when Arlan Bruce thought he had a touchdown. Brandon Browner broke it up. Just continues to make big plays. They have tremendous bookends in Calgary on defense. Dwight Anderson on one corner, Brandon Browner on the other.
Burris trying to dig his way out of a hole, and early movement. Dan Comiskey on that offensive line for Calgary looked like one of the Stamps to flinch.
Well, and I wonder how many people will already be second guessing.
Procedure. Calgary number 60. Half the distance to the goal line. Repeat second down.
It is the 13-year veteran, Comiskey, out of retirement.
I was going to say how many people would be second guessing Jim Barker's decision on the 1 yard line. I know the sort of rule of thumb is you get 1 yard, you have to have confidence in your O-line to go get that yard.
The 2nd and 9 after the penalty, and from his end zone, Burris looking for Ryan Thelwell, and it's broken up. Sammy Joseph there as Henry Burris tried to reconnect with Ryan Thelwell back in the Stamps lineup for the first time since last September when he tore his Achilles.
It's been a short week for the Calgary Stampeders, and Chris, in this first part of this game, they really don't have much jump to their step. Receivers are coming off the line pretty slow. They're not finding the opening, and they're not pushing those Toronto Argonaut defenders off them to find some space.
As a defensive player, did you feel like you had an advantage playing a team on a short week?
Especially when you were in your own bed that whole short week. They're coming in. They have to get their legs back underneath them, and this is an opportunity for the Argos. especially with that guy back there.
Should be safety territory for Brooke Dales. Does put down the knee. So the Iben interception finally results in a couple of Argo points to open the game. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Rona, proud sponsor of the Canadian Football League. Rona, doing it right. So the Argos stuffed on the goal line, but their defense in turn gets the 2 and out and forces the safety, and the ball will get back in the hands of the Toronto offense just past the 5-minute mark of this opening quarter. Here's Brampton native Rob Neighbor, a hero on Saturday afternoon with the kickoff. And Owens up across the 50-yard line. Justin Phillips pulls him down, and good field position again for the Argos when they go back on offense. So the Argos with a 2-0 lead. Cleo Lemon and Jim Barker trying to build on last Friday's success in Winnipeg. You mentioned it on SportsCenter. The numbers weren't as good as in the loss against Calgary, but I think a general consensus we saw real progression for Cleo Lemon in week number 2. Argos start at their 53, and here's Boyd pushing the pile and gets across midfield. And Rob Murphy mentioned that he will fall forward for at least 3 on every carry.
And there he is in the starting lineup for the Toronto Argonauts as Corey Boyd has his first 100-yard game in the Argos' first win. No coincidence there. Then you look up front. One change on the offensive line. Chris Van Zyl is out. Shannon Boatman goes in with the perfect name to play on the Toronto Argonauts.
Never been better suited as anyone to play for the Argonauts than Shannon Boatman. And Boyd just gets tossed down. Well, that was emphatic.
Mike Landry steps in as a backup defensive lineman, and tremendous penetration. The only guy in the 3-point stance for Calgary who's right here, and he just is in the backfield and in the kitchen of Corey Boyd pitching a tent.
So there's one play where he didn't fall forward for 3 yards. 2 and out. And Bourne to boot. Dion Murphy from his 11. And he is quick, had some fumble problems against the Argos, holds on here for an 11-yard return. Back at Rogers Center, let's check in with Sarah Orlesky.
Chris, Jermaine Copeland has had a lot of adjustments he's needed to make since moving to Toronto, among them no longer getting to play alongside his best friend, Stamps receiver Nick Lewis. These two were inseparable, and Copeland says that they still speak each and every day. He said that he felt that Lewis made a lot of progress last year in terms of leadership and that he can really thrive in that role this season. He will be cheering for Lewis, quietly, mind you, from the Argos sideline, and says he wants him to have a good game as long as the Argos win in the end.
Pass out to R.J. Franklin, complete to cross the 30-yard line, and Nick Lewis with a early touchdown this year in Hamilton, week number 2, after waiting 17 weeks last year.
And the two are in the one-up game, right? They talk every single day. It was a feature in our pregame show as well. And Nick Lewis gets 100 yards, then Jermaine Copeland wants 110, and it goes back and forth. They're watching each other closely, as Sarah mentioned, in that one-up game.
Second short, big hole, Joffrey Reynolds. And the safety, Willie Pyle, beats him up at the 44-yard line. But that's a dozen for Joffrey Reynolds.
We talked about it in the opening, Chris. I really believe that the team that will have success tonight and win this game will be the team that is able to control the run game, because both Joffrey Reynolds and Corey Boyd already have a 100-yard game on the season. For Reynolds, it was against the Toronto Argonauts in week 1. They have to be better tacklers in the secondary to try and slow him down.
Argos have not surrendered a first quarter point in the first 2 weeks. On a roll, Rose throws low, and Lewis scoops it off the turf, breaks the tackle, and gets close to midfield. Argos want a challenge, and Jordan Younger says that Lewis didn't make the catch, and Jim Barker will check the replay.
Let's take a look and see if it did touch the ground. You can't use the turf to help you make the catch. Ball low and brings Nick Lewis back towards the line of scrimmage, and looked like it did bounce once before it got to him. So a break for Toronto if Jim Barker gets that challenge flag out there. It looked like that bounced. One hopped right up to him.
He may not have to challenge it. Looks like the officials now are ruling incomplete. And it will be 2nd and 10.
Well, and I mentioned the Argos get away with one because, again, some sloppy tackling out in the open field for the secondary of this team. They talked about it all week.
2nd and 10, and Pottinger, the middle linebacker, showing blitz. He's picked up. Now Burris in trouble. Kevin Huntley in pursuit. Oh boy. Henry going backwards. And now downfield, he's got a completion. Tackle made by Sammy Joseph on Joffrey Reynolds. They'll be short of the first down, but Burris avoids a big loss.
He does, only just because big Kevin Huntley at close to 3 bills was in chase. And when he sidestepped him, he bought himself a little more time. Good protection up front initially from that offensive line, but no open receiver. So Burris is now looking at around a 20-yard loss. So good for Calgary Stampeders that he just got that out of there to save the loss.
So Birkdale's to punt. Chad Owens is back. And again, Owens with a 90-yarder for a touchdown at McMahon. From his 12, John Cornish misses him. And Owens out close to the 25-yard line after a 52-yard Birkdale's punt.
You just get the feeling when he touches the ball that there's a chance. Let's take a look at the Calgary Stampeders on defense. And in that front 7, some pressure tonight on Mike Labinjo. His coach and John Huffnagel saying that he was not happy with his performance against the Hamilton Tiger Cats a week ago. And we've already talked about this guy in the secondary, Brandon Browner, one of the best playmakers from that corner spot in the Canadian Football League.
And the Stampeders have allowed the fewest points so far through the opening 2 weeks. Cleo Lemon back to work. Standing in that pocket, and now Christian unable to bring it in. Ryan Christian, who we're told is going to be a bigger part of this Argo offensive attack, squanders a chance for big yards there.
Well, Cleo Lemon's going to have to buy some time here. He sits in the pocket because the protection very good, waiting for Christian to clear through the linebacking core, and he just double clutches it. A catch that he really needs to make because he had tons of room to run had he turned that corner.
30.
2nd and 10 from the 24. Short drop, and the catch is made by Brandon Rito, stretching to the 31, but well short of a first down.
I talked to Rob Murphy before the game about what he expects from the Calgary defense. In week 1, he said it was blitz, and more blitz on Cleo Lemon. In week 3 here tonight, he feels like it's going to be a lot of the same. He said Calgary up front loves to twist and try and trick you. He said, but we've seen it once now. Protection not bad in that series. They didn't get the first down, but they did pick up the blitz from Calgary.
Jamie Borum down back at the 15. Borum could not get it away. And a big defensive play by Eric Fraser, the rookie safety. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Nissan. Shift the way you move.
Two free Calgary Stampeders, Eric Fraser, one of them, as they come on the fast break on Jamie Borum here. It looks to me like there was a mistake in the kicking team there from Evan McCullough, who lined up on the wrong side. Borum absolutely no chance. Has to just hang on to the football and hope his defense comes up with a stop.
Lucci last night, prayers out to his family. 604 Vancouver, BC, we love you.
Eric Fraser with a shutout, and now Bruce looking to the end zone. Anybody open? And that is a knockdown and a good defensive play by Sammy Joseph. Made a couple of plays already.
Usually on the punting team, you'll have what's called two personal protectors. Evan McCullough was one of them, and they usually split the center. So he would usually line up right over here and be ready to take the most dangerous on that side. But you could see it stacked to the left, leaving the right side wide open, and a fast break for Calgary.
Borum, no chance. 2nd and 10, Calgary. Argo 14. Looking for Thelwell, and a collision there. No flag, and the pass falls incomplete.
No, and I don't think there should be one. Ryan Thelwell was trying to make his move, but Lynn J. Shell was standing. You thinking offensive possibly, too?
PK Sam, excuse me.
Oh, sorry.
Former Argo.
Yeah.
Those two have done battle as teammates, and PK Sam get caught up.
Yeah, and there's Sam right there as he comes off the line. I was going to say that Lynn J. Shell here is just holding his ground. You're allowed to protect your area if the contact is made in front of you. There's no 5-yard rule like in the National Football League, so nice coverage there by Lynn J. Shell.
So defensive stand for the Argos, and here's Rob Maverick, young kid who looked up to Noel Prefontaine as a high school kicker, nails one here at Rogers Center. So the Stampeders take the lead off the toe of the University of Guelph product. And a reminder, Friday Night Football this week will be at Ivor Wynn and also at New Empire Field. Montreal and BC after Winnipeg and Hamilton.
Word is at this point, I know it's not written with pen yet, but KC Printers will be back for the Lions, and very, very important game for the Hamilton Tiger Cats on Friday night.
Absolutely. The Ticats outstatted Calgary on Saturday, but as we found out in the Toronto-Winnipeg game, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, you wonder if Hamilton in week 1 was possibly reading their news clippings with everyone saying that they would be a team to close the gap on Montreal in the East in week 1. I don't think that was the case in week 2. They played hard, had a chance to win that game, but didn't. So this becomes a real sense of urgency for Hamilton on Friday.
Christian and Owens are deep. They exchange spots, and that means it is into the hands of Chad Owens. And a big collision there as Owens crossed the 30 and ran into Malik Jackson.
This is the special teams, folks. And you got to be a special guy to play on the teams, both return game, and we've seen Chad Owens, and there he is there, return game and the cover game, because that is some kind of hit from Malik Jackson. Steps into it. Good form tackle against one of the great young returners, great new returners in the CFL.
Argos start at their 33. Short lemon drop over the middle, and it's a completion to Jermaine Copeland. Well, so Lewis has a catch, and now Copeland with a good one for a first down across the 50.
The Argos are running a lot of crossing routes underneath. That time Copeland just slides into the seam in behind those crossing routes. There's going to be a receiver here, and then Copeland on the second layer. When he gets to that layer, there's Copeland out of the backfield and makes that catch after getting hit.
4 for 40 in week 1 against his old team, and now Rideau. That one incomplete. Jawan Simpson with the knockdown.
And that goes in the drop category. And Brandon Rideau and Jeffrey Webb have had their fair share early in this season, but Jim Barker wants to stick with both receivers. They have Chad Lucas again, a healthy scratch, their leading receiver from a year ago. So he is pushing those two. Got to make some plays.
Jim Barker wasn't happy with his receivers last week, has challenged them to be better. 2nd and 10 and Lemon flushed. And So going to be a flag. Brandon Browner was all over Jeffrey Webb. And I don't think there is a flag on the play.
It's one thing that makes Brandon Browner so good is that when he's in coverage, first of all, he's physical. He's up in your grill 90% of the time, and he says if you're going to get open, you're going to have to really work at it. But he's also a master at the subtle grabs, at the little push, at just making just enough contact that it disrupts the receiver, but not enough to draw the flag.
Just like in the end zone on Saturday afternoon against Arlen Bruce. This time Borum does get the kick off, and it's a good one. Murphy back inside his 10, and he'll be dropped just outside the 5. Great cover. -1 on the return. Delroy Clark down in a hurry.
And maybe a punt that should have been left alone to go through the end zone.
Well, Brandon Browner has had an active visit to Southern Ontario. Here was the big play on the goal line stand.
Yeah, see, he didn't have a receiver wide, and the one thing about Brandon Browner, he's a defensive back that absolutely loves to play physical. Here's what he does to Arlen Bruce in that goal line stand. A little bit of controversy surrounding that play. Did he get there a little early? But that's what I'm talking about.
All day long.
Joffrey Reynolds off the left side. Up to the 10-yard line, has 3.
It's awful comforting for a coach, both defensive coaches and the head coach, certainly, and John Huffnagel, to have corners that can lock down the wide receivers. You basically eliminate 20 to 30 yards of the field that the rest of your defense has to cover. And Brandon Browner is one of those corners.
Flag on the play. It was late. Let's see what Murray Clark's crew has.
After the play, major foul, unnecessary roughness. Calgary number 21. Half the distance to the goal line, second down.
Well, that's Joffrey Reynolds, and that's unusual.
Chalk that up into never has happened column. Joffrey Reynolds usually very quiet, calm, reserved, does his job, brings his lunch pail to work. Very, very seldom does he draw a penalty like that. In fact, in the time I've done games, I don't remember him ever getting a penalty like that, and he steps right on top of Pottinger.
So second and long from his end zone. Burris just gets out. Henry Burris dropped, but fell across the goal line and back to the 2. I think Ronald Flemings looked like the Argo who brought him to the turf.
Which will be a safety either way. And there's Joffrey Reynolds right there just to show you the penalty once again. And he turns around, and what he does is he says, I'm going to step right on the chest of linebacker Jason Pottinger and walk back to the huddle over top him enough to draw the flag.
Well, must be hot and muggy out there, because that's as out of character as you'll see from Joffrey Reynolds. So likely in safety territory again, and Burkdales does put a knee down in the final minute of this opening quarter, and the Argos regain the lead.
One thing that when you're fatigued, and again, we talked about Calgary on the short week, Chris, is that you worry if you're the head coach about missed tackles on defense. You start to fatigue, and you worry about penalties and just lack of discipline, lack of focus at the wrong time, and the odd drop. So both these teams basically working on similar work weeks. They had to really shorten things down. The Toronto Argonauts had to really put 2 work days into one, and of course the Calgary Stampeders stayed out in Hamilton, practiced at McMaster University, and then had to make the long drive into Toronto tonight for the game. So the Toronto Argonauts had a similar week. We're traveling when the Stampeders were playing. They put 2 of their work days basically into one, tried to get the guys off their feet, and it affects the big boys more than anything.
Well, you imagine the guys that are over 300 pounds. Henry Burris told us he lost, what, 10 pounds on Saturday afternoon in the heat.
So if he lost 10, how many do you think Adriano Belli shedded? He shedded a whole person, probably.
John Owens awaits another kickoff from Mather. And Owens with and another hit of steam past Maver, who just got a piece of him. He couldn't tightrope it down, but Chad Owens giving the hometown fans an up-close look at how explosive he is.
Boy, it's unique to Canadian football because of the size of the field, and Chad Owens is 65 yards wide, doesn't need much of a seam, and he gets a real nice one to go right through that seam created by his blocking team. One of those guys being Christian, the other returner. Instant field position for Chad Owens once again, and now he gets a rep on offense.
32-yard kick return. Owens 469 all-purpose yards in the first 2 weeks. Play action fake, penalty on the play. Drop ball for Webb, and it falls incomplete.
Looked like, I'm not sure the flag, we'll check that out, but it looked like that throw from Cleo Lemon, he just lost the handle, because that one, I think Wes Lysak was wondering whether he should get his duck hunting gun out or should go ahead and go after the ball. It looked like it just slipped out of his hand.
Wes Lysak, the safety, played center field.
Offside. Toronto number 2. That penalty is declined. Second down.
Well, that's Owens. That time a little too quick.
Well, and Cleo Lemon certainly had an open receiver. He's in the shotgun. He's going to drop back here, and he has an open receiver right there. And just misses him because that one, a bit of a duck. It slipped out of his hand.
Argos go 5 receivers. Boyd stays in. And that pass knocked down and almost intercepted. It'll be third down.
It's one of the things that Cleo Lemon talked about after week 1. He said, you know, from the difference between the National Football League and CFL, and maybe it's because of the yard off the ball that makes it different. He said, I really noticed the difference in throwing lanes and throwing angles. And he said, I really have to work on that. Something I want to continue to get better at. He had a lot of blocks in game 1, less in game 2. And there's the first one tonight.
And it forces Grant Shaw to come on, the rookie out of the University of Saskatchewan. Perfect so far, including a 52-yarder. This from 47 out. And there's his first miss. Watch out. Murphy's going to bring it out. Willie Pyle trying to contain. And Willie Pyle makes the tackle at the 16 after the Argo field goal miss by Shaw. First quarter stats are brought to you by Tim Hortons, proud sponsor of the CFL, and the numbers are small in that first quarter.
Yeah, you know, special teams a factor here. The game's been played really in Calgary's end so far, other than the one block kick. So the teams are in play. I think we're going to see a lot more rushing of the football.
Argo's home opener, and they pay tribute to our Canadian forces prior to the game. And it's our pleasure to welcome Vice Admiral Denny Rouleau to our broadcast, sir.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
How many men and women, our brave soldiers, are deployed right now in Afghanistan, sir?
We have on any day just over 3,500 that are deployed overseas.
And what at this point would be the message that you'd want Canadians to hear about the job that they're doing over there right now?
I think every single one of them deployed, and not only in Afghanistan, we have them in over 15 missions right now. To say that they are proud to serve their country and to carry the flag tonight was a very, very special moment for them.
Not much on that screen pass. Jason Pottinger brings down Joffrey Reynolds for a short gain. It's a nice mesh between football and what you do, and it was terrific to see many members of the Armed Forces being involved in the introductions with the players coming out tonight.
Absolutely. It's a special moment for them, especially, like I said, to carry their flag. It's always special, always something that they will remember for a long time.
Well, sir, on behalf of TSN and certainly all of Canadians, we want to thank you guys for what you do around the world, protecting our way of life. And improving the way of life of so many people around the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Our thanks to Vice Admiral Denny Rouleau and the Canadian Forces, who are being honored here tonight at Rogers Centre. So a 2-and-out for the Calgary Stampeders. And Chad Owens awaits. The Argos have an opportunity to get the ball in good field position again. And most of the offense we've seen in this defensive struggle so far have been on the teams. Argo rush, and Dales just got that away. Owens at the Calgary 50, not going anywhere. But good field position after the 36-yard punt.
Introducing Rona Advantages. Take advantage and get more out of Rona. Save money. Up to 5% on all your purchases for the year. Plus, collect more Air Miles reward miles. Up to 2 times more. Save money, collect extra Air Miles, and much more. Only with Rona Advantages. Apply now. Rona, doing it right.
I hosted dinner, and it's top secret.
On July 30th, many are called, but only one will be chosen.
First prize goes to the biggest idiot.
She's talking to the lobster.
It's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. I am making you say everything that I say.
Yeah, but I'm saying it first.
Are you?
Oh, my gosh.
I'm a naughty schoolgirl.
You look a little old to be a schoolgirl.
You are a wise man.
As are you.
Dinner for Schmucks.
Ever wonder what it would be like to have monsters and aliens invade your home? We did. Introducing a new dimension in television. Samsung 3D TV, the world's first 3D LED TV. That's the wonder of Samsung.
For big screen TVs, nobody beats the brick.
Argos will start at the Calgary 51, but first let's check back in with Sarah Orleski.
Chris, Chad Owens has shown how dangerous he can be through the first 2 weeks, and we've gotten a taste of it tonight. He returned kicks for touchdowns in the first 2 games of this season, the first Argo to do so in back-to-back games since 1998. He feels that here in Toronto, he's finally found a good fit. He feels like he can be the guy for the first time since college. He's bounced around the NFL, AFL, and spent last year on Montreal's practice roster. Head coach Jim Barker has long been a big fan. He said that he tried to acquire Owens when he was back in Calgary.
Here's Ryan Christian this time with the catch and down the sideline. Brandon Browner pushes him out. It's a first down at the Calgary 39-yard line. He didn't just want to be a returner, though, Chad Owens. He wants to be part of this Argo offense, something he wasn't going to get a chance to do in Montreal.
Game in the balance last week versus Winnipeg, and Chad Owens took this missed field goal, and he took it the distance. And what was astounding, and what I talked to Michael O'Shea, the special teams coach for the Argos, about tonight was he got to the end zone and didn't look tired at all. He said he came to the sideline, he wasn't even breathing hard.
Ryan Christian lined up in the backfield. There's a penalty down as Malik Jackson tossed Cleo Lemon to the turf. He gets rid of the football, and we'll sort out this penalty flag.
Cleo Lemon threw that one down into the feet of Jeffrey Webb. And I think the officials are just checking to see if it was close enough.
Wasn't offside as well against the Argos.
Offside. Toronto number 16. That penalty is declined. Second down.
Brandon Rideau, the receiver, called offside, but it'll be 2nd and 10.
Yeah, Malik Jackson, this is what Calgary likes to do. Rob Murphy said that to me tonight before the game. They like to send more than you can block, and that extra guy is on the quarterback. Cleo Lemon had to throw that one away.
But Webb close enough that there is no grounding call. 2nd and 10, Dury in motion. Here comes Jackson off the edge. Lemon, and it's knocked down, and that's Charleston Hughes.
Wow.
The defensive end with the knockdown in coverage.
3-man pressure, first of all, and one of those guys is not Charleston Hughes, who's usually going after the quarterback, but Chris Jones changes things up, and he drops the defensive end. Cleo Lemon doesn't really count on him having that kind of quickness, as Hughes right here lines up off the line of scrimmage. 3-man pressure from Calgary. 39 drops in there, and watch him pick up the crosser. That's good linebacker play from Charleston Hughes.
So Grant Shaw on to attempt a 46-yarder, missed from 47, but the rookie has recalibrated and nails that. Off to a terrific start in his CFL career for Jim Barker, expanding the Argos lead to 7-3.
Dave Dickinson will be on the headset with Henry Burris and communicating to him the plays and calling the game, although John Hufnagel is the offensive coordinator. Dave Dickinson, the quarterback coach / co-coordinator with Hufnagel, as the two football minds stand side by side, but it is Dickinson communicating to Burris on the field.
Stampeders stuck on 1 first down so far. There's Robbie Bryant to catch. Falls across the 40 for a pickup of 6. Henry Burris working in concert with an old teammate, now his quarterback coach.
He's kind of the extra set of eyes on the sideline, and now having him work directly with me, it makes it even that much easier, because he's been there, he's done that. And as a rookie, my first couple of years, I learned so much through Dave and through Jeff as well, but a lot through Dave, because I'd always follow him around. I'd be his dark shadow. So the fact that now he's my quarterback coach, and he's basically taking on the roles that relaying the plays into me, allows us to communicate that much more.
And the play sent in by Dave Dickinson on 2nd and 4 is converted to Dion Murphy.
Well, the one thing a former quarterback, whether it's John Hufnagel or Dave Dickinson in this case, calling plays for Burris, is that there will be balance. In the 2 games this year, 59 passing plays, 77 running plays. It's basically a 57%, 43% split. Dave Dickinson understands the importance of a guy like Joffrey Reynolds and John Corbin.
First down, the pitch is thrown to R.J. Kirkland, replacing the retired Brett Ralph as the Canadian wideout. You talk about balance. What we haven't seen is explosiveness. The Calgary Stampeders yet to produce a passing play of over 30 yards this year. The only team that hasn't.
Well, the one reason I would say for that is that other than Nick Lewis and the addition of Ryan Thelwell here tonight, Henry Burris has been working with a very inexperienced receiving corps in this offense.
2nd and long, and that pass is incomplete. Intended for Nick Lewis.
Boy, it's tough. And I'm not giving Nick Lewis an excuse here, but that focus on the short week is what both these teams, and certainly Calgary to start this game, have to really think about. That is a routine catch for Nick Lewis over the middle, and they've got to get their focus back because there's been too much of this early on.
Stampeders had 4 drops on Saturday afternoon in Hamilton. That's 2 in the first half tonight, and 1 resulted in an Argo interception. Chad Owens has 92 return yards already, getting set to take off again. And he's cut down. Eric Fraser, what a special team night he's had. Block punt and a big tackle there. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by TELUS, proud sponsor of the Canadian Football League.
I was going there.
That's the guy we want to track.
You want us to leave the middle field, though? Because he wasn't going back. Okay.
Yes. I want to fucking.
Now the rookie out of Central Michigan and a Vancouver area product has made an impact. Eric Fraser so far in this game. Cleo Lemon under duress. Got it away. And now Chip Ball, and it's caught by Copeland. Jermaine Copeland will step out at the 50. There's a flag down. And Calgary might wonder about that battle between Copeland and the defender.
Well, there was some pushing and shoving, but the flag way back, and they just picked it up and hustled down to the point of catch.
Major foul, face mask. Calgary, 15 yards at the end of the play. First down.
That was Malik Jackson, got his hand on the grill of Lemon, who was able to shake it off and hook up with Jermaine Copeland for 33 yards.
Malik Jackson here. There's Cleo Lemon in the shotgun, and Jackson coming through, and you can see the strength, the lower body strength here. Lemon, that one rips his head around. He has the free play, so tremendous presence of mind to just throw it up. He knows he has the free play because the flag's going to come out for the face mask.
Tack on 15. Argos have a first down at the 46. Play action. Andre Dury in space. It's the first man miss. Swings out the next contact. And Andre Dury, who led the Argos with yards after the catch coming into this game, shows you how with 12 on that run after the catch.
You know, I think it's worth one more look because Jim Barker has talked about how Malik Jackson comes in here and how his quarterback in Cleo Lemon, even though he's inexperienced, has that leadership and that composure and presence of mind. He didn't even look down the field. He threw that knowing he had the free play. If it's intercept, doesn't matter.
Back in the hands of Corey Boyd, and a burst for another first down. So back-to-back. First downs, in fact, 3 in a row for the Argos, mounting their best offensive drive of the night.
And clearly an offense that this football team is starting to really buy into. Number one, you need the guy under center that gives you hope. And that's been Cleo Lemon the last couple of weeks. Corey Boyd has got this offensive line fired up. Look at the way he churns his legs, high knees, and never quits.
Tight end right.
38 yards on 5 carries. Had only 32 in week 1 against this. And now he's got another big one. And he runs through that tackle. Brandon Isaac can't bring him down. And getting another look at why the Argos are so enthused with the running back, and a late flag as Rob Murphy got pushed down well after the whistle.
Corey Boyd making a statement in back-to-back games. Good run in the open field. The first guy, rarely if ever so far in this early in this season, brings him down.
Roughness. Calgary 27. Half the distance to the goal line. First down.
Well, Murphy may have got away with one there. He was in the process of pushing down one of the stamps, and Brandon Browner didn't like it. But the retaliator gets caught. And this penalty-aided drive now sees the Argos first and goal at the Calgary 5-yard line. Do the Stamps have another defensive stand in them?
40.
Johnson in motion. Boyd again. And again stacked up. Will be pushed back for a loss. Malik Jackson's there. Tom Johnson, the middle linebacker, Juwan Simpson.
This is a good team defensively against the run. You mentioned it right off the top, Chris, just allowing in the first couple of weeks of the season 51 yards per game, which leads the CFL early on. So tough running, especially when you get down in this area, because you know you're going to bottle it up. Jamie Elizondo, the offensive coordinator now for the Argos, is going to have to try and throw the football in the green zone.
Second and goal. Here comes pressure. Lemon looks to the corner, jump ball, and incomplete. Jeffrey Webb was up against Brandon Browner. And you almost wonder why you go to that guy's side. Browner has been so tough.
Yeah. But, you know, it's pick your poison, because Dwight Anderson's no slouch on the other side. So, but I agree with you on that fade route, because with his height at 6'3", Brandon Browner, awful tough to throw the fade on.
Well, the Ticats squandered some opportunities Saturday. The Argos doing likewise here in the first half. They settle for 3 and now lead by 7. It has been a very quiet first half for John Hufnagel's offense. We've talked about the short week. We should give the Argos defense some credit too. Team that surrendered just under 500 yards in each of the first 2 weeks. But they've been able to stymie Henry Burris and company so far in this first half. Fake to Reynolds. And out Lewis knocked out of bounds.
In one of those games that you talked about where the Argos did give up some yardage was game 1 against Calgary. Adriano Belli not in the lineup for that game. Now, Joffrey Reynolds has just 3 carries here tonight, and maybe just the presence of Belli in the middle has started to talk the Calgary Stampeders out of running the football up the middle, especially when he's paired up with Kevin Huntley.
Reynolds 17 for 116 in week 1 against Toronto in Calgary. Second and short, and Joffrey straight ahead, rolled off a couple of tackles and has a first down at the 48.
Well, Huntley had him in the backfield, but this is even when you have those 2 big trees in there, and Kevin Huntley and Adriano Belli, he's still capable of making a guy miss. And Huntley got a little tall in his tackling stance there. He got a little high, and when he gets high, he's 6'7", so that's real high. And Joffrey Reynolds was able to spin out of that tackle.
Just the 3rd first down of this opening half for the Stamps. First down at the 48. Back in Reynolds' hands, it tripped up, and there's Adriano Belli disrupting that play at the line of scrimmage.
And he just reestablished the line of scrimmage in the backfield for the Calgary Stampeders. Adriano Belli showed you what we were just talking about, almost on cue, as watch how he drives his legs into the backfield through the double team, creates a pile that Reynolds trips on.
Loss of 1, second and 11. Here comes the pressure. Burris steps up, and he has a completion. And R.J. Franklin tossed down, but forward progress should be enough for a first down into Argo territory.
That time the Argos tried to run a stunt up front, which they tried to cross up Adriano Belli. And when they did that, they got tied up, and that's why they didn't get much pressure. Belli tried to loop around, and when he did, he got caught in the wash here. Didn't get to that opening, so it created a throwing lane for Burris. You see the lane there as he steps up and is able to throw that strike.
Calgary generated 28 first downs in week 1. That's their 4th of this first half. Zone read fake. And caught by PK Sam, the former Argonaut, is dropped at the Toronto 40-yard line. Michael Grant on the tackle.
That is, Chris, the zone read that we've seen. Interesting that this play is one that the Calgary Stampeders have really got efficient at, where they take the running back up here, then there's the junction point. Now, depending on what the end does, Henry Burris will give it to Joffrey Reynolds there, or he will take it to the corner. No end, so he takes it to the corner. Toronto's trying to learn it. Calgary's got it pretty much down.
Burris rolling, wide open is Franklin, and he is out of bounds. They're ruling incomplete.
Yeah, it's very close to that sideline. Whether or not he had control and a foot in bounds.
R.J. Franklin, Robbie Bryan acquired late last year, feeling much more comfortable in this Calgary offense, and
the right foot is right on the stripe. You can see the right foot on the stripe and out of bounds as he catches it. So he's ruled out of bounds on possession.
Second and 10. Sam stays in the block. Over the middle, it's complete. Lewis sheds a tackle, and Nick Lewis will score. Touchdown, Lewis, his second in as many games. 39 yards. Burris to Geronimo. And he's going to strike up the band.
And Chris, the exact play that Nick Lewis dropped a couple of series ago.
That's it, Robbie.
As he does some belly bucking back to the bench. But crossing route, this is the one right in his hands that he dropped. So Henry Burris goes right back to him. Sloppy tackling in the open field. Nick Lewis is going to jump out of that tackle right there. Bounce to the outside. I believe it was Jordan Younger, and goodbye, Nick Lewis.
So the Argos tackling problems comes back to haunt them again. And Nick Lewis, who had to wait till the 17th game for a touchdown last year, has his second in as many this year.
Back in Calgary.
Jordan Younger's going to miss the tackle on Nick Lewis here, but I also want to show you one guy that can help out for the Toronto Argonauts. That's Linjay Shell, who for some reason jumps up into the line here and really doesn't have to. So you can see Nick Lewis now has space to the outside. Now, Jordan Younger needs to make that tackle for the Argos, but you got to give a lot of credit to Nick Lewis and his great strength in the lower body to jump out of it. And Linjay Shell stays back there, and he may have some help on that tackle.
Chad Owens on the kick return. Ran into his own man. Gets across the 40. So look at the longest pass play Calgary's had this year.
Yeah, and it's a lot of yak yards after the catch. There's Lewis. You see him right in the middle of your screen. He's in the 3 position on the wide side of the field. Now, I'll show you why Jordan Younger misses this tackle. Fundamentals, boys. Here's right here. You see the head of Jordan Younger on the back side. Jordan Younger's head's got to be on this side. If it's on the front side, Nick Lewis has to run through his head and body to get to the outside here and get that score. It's on the back side, and Lewis scores because of it.
Lemon will try and answer. Out of the backfield, here's Christian. And Ryan Christian is taken down, and the helmet pulled off his head, and the marker goes, and a face mask penalty.
Yeah,
I believe upcoming against Calgary.
Major foul. Horse collar.
Horse collar.
Calgary number 33. 15 yards at the end of the play. First down.
Dwight Anderson called the corner.
Ryan Christian, good speed and quickness. He makes Fraser miss in the open field, and there's the horse collar, and Anderson tried to get his hand off, but not in time. He did have hold of the back of the shoulder pads right there.
Jonathan Hughes removing the helmet. Corey Boyd straight ahead. And Boyd has been alone in his first half. Taken down by Miguel Robade. And Boyd close to 8 more, but not getting up. Guy injured very early in training camp with a concussion, was let go, but hung around and got a call back, and figures to be a very big part of this Argo offense this year.
Will he ever? And I know the offensive line love him. And Rob Murphy telling me that he reminds him of Joe Smith.
40.
With a real tremendous work ethic.
Second 2.5. Brian Crawford is in, and Crawford, the backup tailback, has the first down.
And the offensive line is going to just absolutely love to block for a guy that gets his pad level down and will drive his legs and be the hammer, not the nail, running the football. And Corey Boyd showed us that. Almost broke one there for touchdowns against the Bombers. But it was the fact that on every play, he would lower his shoulders right there, and he would always be going forward, falling forward. Offensive linemen love that.
Boyd checks back in. When we chatted with him yesterday, he couldn't be more excited about being here and being a part of this Argonaut future. Over the middle, and Rumpel was open. He had a step, and the ball falls incomplete, and Lemon laments one that got away.
And all this is, Chris, is just chemistry. And it's Cleo Lemon, unfamiliar with his receiving core to a point where he's got to get on the same page, understand how fast they are. And that one, he had lots of time, no one in his face, and just missed it.
Missed opportunity for Lemon, and Chad Ripple sets up 2nd and 10 at the Calgary 33. Going deep down the sidelines, tipped ball, and there is Brandon Browner in coverage again on Jeffrey Webb.
Well, the Argos are not shy to go after him. That's a couple of times now in key plays that they are going to go out and see. And I mentioned again that, I'll tell you what, Brandon Browner will play in your grill. He's up there. Now, he doesn't make contact, but in perfect position. And folks, it basically has to be an absolutely pinpoint perfect pass. And it really did sneak in there, and that can go down as a drop for Webb.
So Grant Shaw, the rookie, comes on. Ivan the holder. And shot puts another through. From 40 yards out, Grant Shaw has regained the lead for the Argonauts. With under 2 minutes left here in the opening half. And a reminder, the 2010 Open Championship begins tomorrow here on TSN. It's an early start. All 4 rounds on TSN and tsn.ca beginning tomorrow morning, 4 a.m. Eastern, 1 a.m. Pacific.
HMCS York from the Navy here in attendance. The 32 Brigade from the Army. Having some fun in an Argo game. Good to see the men from the forces out, men and women.
Henry Burris back to work, and R.J. Franklin's got another catch. R.J. talking about pursuing a 1,000-yard season for the first time in his 5-year career.
Well, and I like the way in his 2 catches here, he's come back to the football. He comes back aggressively, not allowing the Argonauts secondary to step in and try and knock the ball down.
So finally, Henry Burris has this Stamps offense kick-started. Short drop, Nick Lewis, another catch, and Lewis moving up the ladder in all-time catches as a Calgary Stampeder.
Well, 2 things have happened. One, Dave Dickinson is obviously now seeing some things that he can try and take advantage of and exploit in the Argonaut defense. But also, I think this team is starting to get their legs underneath them again. They got off to a real sluggish start. They're making the drive up the QEW to get here from Hamilton on a short week. But after about a quarter, they started to get their legs going.
Second and a pair. Fake to Reynolds, and now Burris finds R.J. Franklin. A little ad-lib by Henry Burris when the initial play wasn't open.
See what Jason Pottinger is caught in. He's caught between a rock and a hard place there. He basically, and it's frustrating for a defender to be in that situation, because he wants to attack. I mean, Pottinger wants to go after him here, and he's not able to. He gets to the outside, and Pottinger now is in a one-on-one with Burris. Now he wants to go get him and make the sack, but if he's too aggressive, Burris will make him miss.
32 yards so far on the drive, and that fastball in and out of the hands of Nick Lewis. Willie Pyle in coverage, maybe on his back hip.
Willie Pyle is going to be a natural safety. I mean, when you go back and look at his background, whether in high school, college at Virginia Tech, or in the National Football League, he was a free safety. Played linebacker here first, but has moved back to the safety spot. And you know one thing, he'll get everybody lined up right.
Couple of fumble recoveries in week 1 against Calgary. 3rd drop of the game for the Stampeders. 2nd and 10. Over the middle, the crosser to Lewis. And he breaks a tackle, gets the first down. Looked like he'd be short, but somehow Nick Lewis fights for extra yardage.
You know, you cannot go low on Nick Lewis and bring him down. You've got to make contact up high and make sure you wrap up. And Kevin Iben is real upset with himself right here in the middle of your screen. Lewis on the crosser again. He tries to go low, and Lewis is so good at just that little hop. Strong legs, comes down. Iben real upset he missed that one.
Stamps driving, final minute. And that pass is intercepted. Evan McCullough's got it. And it is the Argos' 2nd interception of the first half. Taken away from PK Sam.
Some kind of play by Evan McCullough to be this aggressive on a curl route from PK Sam. Like, McCullough did not move backwards one step. He just hung his ground, and that never touched the ground until late after the play was over and whistled dead. Interception for McCullough.
So the Argonaut rookie DB has his first Canadian Football League interception.
Chris, that's aggressive play from a young defensive back, because usually you're backing up on a guy like PK Sam so you don't get beat deep and get him in behind you. But he played that one tough.
Helping preserve this Argonaut lead. And the pass is complete. Short yardage to the running back, Corey Boyd.
Just great to see the confidence in Evan McCullough. Not great if you're a Calgary fan, I understand that, but usually a young defensive back in his first year is going to backpedal about 3 or 4 steps and make sure he maintains a 3-yard cushion. McCullough sits on this curl route and really jumps it.
Fourth interception of the year for the Argonauts, who had only 11 all of last season. Timeout been called by Calgary. They stopped the clock with 29 seconds left. John Hufnagel might have a chance to get the offense back on the field. And a reminder, we'll be checking in live at the half with Dave, Matt, Milt, and Schultze. There's Chris Jones, the defensive leader. Jim Barker said was a tough way for Cleo Lemon to open a CFL career against the Chris Jones defense.
Yeah, so many different looks, so many different stunts and blitzes. Makes it tough on a young quarterback.
So second and long, and Corey Boyd tripped up across the 35, has the first down. And big number 3 has made an impact here in his second start against the Stamps.
You know, interesting play call on first down of this series to see Cleo Lemon go play action and look like he wanted to go deep there. He goes back to Corey Boyd for the first down, now has 9 and closing in again on 100 yards, on pace for another 100-yard game. But again, the aggressive play calling. Lemon was looking deep on that first down.
Timeout, Toronto. Timekeeper, please reset the clock to 18 seconds.
So the Argos think they might be able to put something together in the final 18 seconds here.
Well, they can get 3 plays in if they can get a couple of those in the intermediate sort of range.
Need to move the ball about 30 yards to get it into Grant Shaw range. All part of the learning curve. You might suggest this is a bit risky.
Depending on the play call, yes, because you get one picked off here and the Calgary Stampeders are in field goal range without advancing it at all.
Only say that with a young offense, a new quarterback to the league, but Jim Barker chalks this up as another opportunity to learn. See what they do with it. A pump. He's going to look deep, looking for Chavez, and almost intercepted. Dwight Anderson on the corner there. Nearly came down with it.
Well, you know, conventional wisdom would say kneel down here. But the Argos and Jim Barker are aggressive. They go deep here to Chad Owens, trying to make the big play. Nice tight spiral from Cleo Lemon. But Dwight Anderson right there in perfect position. The only issue for him was that he didn't come down with the football. But Jim Barker playing to win, not playing not to lose.
30.
To 11 seconds on the clock, back in the hands of Boyd, and he finds the seam and kicks it outside. All the way to the 54-yard line with 2 seconds remaining.
Now, they'll get one more play possibly here. And Michael Shea with the big play before the half. Now, there is the play in the book where a receiver will run downfield, catch it, turn around, kick it, and try and get the single point there. As a matter of fact, I asked Mike O'Shea if they worked on that. He said, absolutely, we've worked on that play. This is an ideal situation because it's really too long to kick a field goal.
Ryan Christian, a key guy on special teams at his side, so makes you wonder if anything's on or not. We'll find out. It should be the final play. And do we get a quick kick? No. Brandon Rito hangs on and gets taken down to win the opening 30 minutes of play. Jim Barker up against his former team and exchanging words with one of his old players. Barker smiling because his team has a 3-point lead at the half. You're watching TSN, the exclusive home of the CFL and the Grey Cup. We're at Rogers Center, where the Argos have a 13-10 halftime lead, and Sarah Orlesky's with Coach John Hufnagel.
Coach, what do you attribute this team's slow start offensively to?
Well, we just weren't in sync. I mean, we dropped passes, bad throws, penalties, things like that. We started picking up at the end of the second quarter. Unfortunately, we had an interception there. It took us out of a scoring opportunity. We got to play better football here in the second half.
What needs to be done specifically in order to be successful here?
We just need to play. I mean, play like we play and do it better. And don't stop ourselves. Our defense is on the field too much, and hopefully we can make things happen here in the second half.
Thank you, Coach.
All right.
Not a whole lot of offense in that first half. Cleo Lemon will regret the missed opportunities. A couple of goal line stands for that Calgary defense in the first half.
Yeah, and when you look at the quarterback's numbers, not a lot to talk about in the first half. You know, the Argos, if they finish drives, could be up by 11 now, maybe more. Calgary Stampeders, though, really did get some traction at the end of the half, and but for an interception, may have got some points there.
So we're underway with the second half. Tung Boucher, one of the up men, taking the kick return, and we've also want to track the running backs tonight, and so far it's advantage Toronto.
Well, double the carries for Corey Boyd, and when you look at the average, that's what you're looking at, the 8.6. So you're giving him the football on first down. You're looking at 2nd, 2, and 3, which is a manageable situation for Cleo Lemon. And the only thing with Joffrey Reynolds just needs to get the ball a little more.
Argos start at the 48, and they do go to Boyd, crashing up for a couple of yards.
The one thing the Argos, I think, will have to change up is if they do and when they do get down into that scoring zone again, Chris. They have to get a little more imaginative and try and be maybe a little more aggressive in the passing game. They were down on the 1-yard line, came away with a field goal, and on the 6-yard line and came away from a field goal.
40.
2nd and 7. And a quick hitter over the middle is stopped short of the first down. Webb with the catch, and again, Brandon Browner quickly there to make sure there are no yak yards and, in fact, no first down.
Well, this is the adjustment if the Calgary Stampeders are going to send blitz. If Calgary blitzes Cleo Lemon at the beginning of his development, his target is right there. Now, this one doesn't go for a first down, but the premise being if a receiver makes one man miss there, he should have a chance for a big play when the Calgary Stampeders send people.
Stampeders blocked a punt in the first half. Borum gets that away, shortened it. Murphy on the run, up across the 25-yard line. Calgary football for the first time in the second half when we come back. Well, he's made the most impact in the Calgary offense tonight, and yet not a perfect night for Nick Lewis.
No, he got out to a slow start, a couple of drops early on. That one, a little bit of pressure defensively, but he's had a couple wide open, and this is just not typical Nick Lewis, but he makes up for it. Now, everybody makes mistakes. What you have to do is bounce back from those mistakes. Nick Lewis has done that, and late in that half, he started to become a major factor.
11 catches in 6 quarters against the Argos this year. The fake to Reynolds, and Burris looks for Robbie Bryant, and did he make the catch? Did he get feet in bounds? Catch is made, but he was unable to get a foot down. Otherwise, Robbie Bryant's on the highlight reel.
Yeah, it was back behind him, thrown to the outside shoulder, which really protects the football from the coverage downfield. Leaves his feet 1 foot touched.
Wow.
And he maintains possession. The Calgary Stampeders may want to take a look at this play.
They have broken the huddle. And John Hufnagel reached for the flag. He's not going to throw it. Out of the backfield, Reynolds brought down by Willie Middlebrooks, short of the first down, and that was strange watching John Hufnagel. He reached into the pocket, had the flag out, and just didn't pull the trigger.
Well, Robbie Bryant leaves his feet there, so he's not touched the ground. He's got possession of the football. No. Well, let's see it again. Let's do it back one more time because his heel's down now. The question is, does he have possession of the football when the heel's down, or does he gain possession after it comes back up in the air there and then comes down out of bounds?
Burke Dales tripped over one of the Argo defenders, got it away, no penalty, and Chad Owens, well covered on that kick by the Stampeders, has dropped just beyond the 40.
That was a close one. You know, that one with Robbie Bryant, because that's a big play. I mean, they end up going 2 and out with the tackle on Joffrey Reynolds after, and Robbie Bryant's trying to figure out, you know, should they have challenged that one? The question for me was, did he have possession? He had his foot on the ground inbounds, but did he have possession of the ball then? Because then his foot left the ground, and then he had possession when his body hit the stripe. So it was a lot closer after we examined it the second time than I thought.
There's Boyd again, able to bounce off first contact, and look at the surge. He's a hard runner, and Corey Boyd is closing in on another 100-yard game.
I'm not sure that I've seen the first tackler bring him down yet. That was the opening series of the game when he bounced it. There's the opening tackle, missed. Second one missed. Took 3 or 4. Opening tackle. And the first guy doesn't bring him down.
Now second and short. He is tossed back, and Mike Labinjo makes the defensive play for the Stampeders. So that time they are able to corral Corey Boyd.
Mike Labinjo needs some big plays tonight so that he can show his head coach that he should be in that starting lineup. Because John Hufnagel said he didn't want to make too much of his words and quotes in the newspaper, but he flat out said that if Mike Labinjo plays the same as he played in Hamilton, he won't be on the roster.
I think we're going to get a measurement here. It is short. Jim Barker will get to survey how short. Last time Mike Labinjo played here was 1998. It was the Metro Bowl, the high school championship in Toronto. And he was a running back. And it is about a yard, maybe a little bit less. And a tough decision for Jim Barker in that they've already been stopped twice on goal line stands.
High school with St. Michael's in that year, 98, and he's been trying to get back to play a game in front of his friends and family here in Toronto, but has had issues with that. Last year he was injured. Year before, just before the team made the trip, he twisted his ankle, couldn't make the trip. And the year before that, he joined the team after they had been in Toronto.
Argo's going for it, 30 yard, empty backfield. Cleo Lemon ahead behind Dominic Picard, and not much of a surge.
Yikes! That's another. This defensive line in Calgary is bowing their neck and playing.
And Chris Jones, he had a line on that, and he said there's no way that Corey Boyd broke the plane of a first down.
Now you can challenge in the middle of the field on a third down gamble as to the spot of the football, but it's very difficult. And there was a little hesitation there from Cleo Lemon that may have cost him this first down. They're going to take a look right now.
So twice down by the goal line, and now on the Argos side of midfield, it is another turnover on downs. So the short yardage game for the Argos has let them down so far tonight. A precarious 3-point Toronto lead. Calgary football when we come back. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by TELUS, proud sponsor of the Canadian Football League. Argos have turned the ball over 3 times, and 3 times they've turned it over on downs.
Tom Johnson got great penetration on that Cleo Lemon sneak.
Henry Burris will try and make the play. R.J. Franklin wide open in the flip. And he's bumped out at the Toronto 37. That's a Calgary first down.
You have to have interior penetration from your defensive line when you're trying to, in short yardage, to stop an offense. And watch Tom Johnson here. He's going to flash. Stop right there. There is Tom Johnson. That big body right in the middle, causing problems at the point of attack. Right underneath the pile. Gets the leverage on the offensive line, and another stop on short yardage for Calgary.
A big night for the big men in Calgary's defense. Dr. Reynolds off the left side. Finally finds a crease. Kevin Iben the stop. Reynolds to the Argo 32.
You know, one thing you know about the decisions being made right now, they got to get, first of all, for Calgary, Joffrey Reynolds a little more involved. And for the Toronto Argonauts, does Jim Barker continue to roll the dice in short yardage and in third down gambles? And or not, he's back on the goal line. And Dave Dickinson wants to call a timeout. He's got a guy on a knee.
And it's Dan Comiskey. Like he blew a tire.
Yeah, he's got
a flat.
He's got to go with the pit crew to fix him up.
Timeout, Calgary.
And you can tell the head coach does not like to take his timeout in the second half right there, because it take a challenge.
Which
too.
is probably why he didn't want to challenge what we weren't sure about with Robbie Bryant. And maybe cost him a timeout that they've had to take anyway.
I'm wondering if Comiskey there could have just gone down on a knee as if being injured. He would have had to have then come out for 3 plays instead of just one to get his shoe fixed, and he comes back out now in the timeout in time to run the play. That's the only downside, but you don't waste the timeout if he goes down and acts like he's injured.
John Gott had come on, but Comiskey is eligible to return because of the timeout. 38 years of age, Dan Comiskey. 2nd and 5. And Burris takes off on his own. And Burris a first down to the 18-yard line. Middle linebacker Jason Pottinger losing a helmet on the play.
Robbie Bryant is going to cause some problems as he's going to come across here. And then what that does is it makes it a difficult situation for Ron Flemings off the edge. So as he steps up and he wants to stop now, he sees the opening. Robbie Bryant went past. He was looking for a running back or someone to come back to him. Actually, that was Alex Busby at right defensive end.
Calgary first down. Burris looking for Franklin, and that ball incomplete. Michael Grant on the corner. Again, Byron Parker not in the Argo lineup for the 2nd straight game. Should be available for the Argos' next game in 9 days against BC.
And another drop for the Calgary receivers. There has been a bunch. 4 now total.
And 4 in Hamilton on Saturday. 2nd and 10 Calgary. Reynolds out of the backfield. They look into the end zone. Wide open touchdown. Robbie Bryant has his 2nd touchdown in as many games, and Henry Burris and the Stamps claim the lead.
Soon as Burris gets to the outside, rolling to his left with no containment, you are in an absolute bind in the back end. Whether it's the secondary or the linebacking core, he breaks and contain here and bounces outside. A very tough throw to make. He throws across his body, but has a wide open Robbie Bryant, so there's a large window of error there.
Plays 51 yards. Maver the point after, and Calgary's back on top.
Kick off! to show you how Romby Bryant gets so wide open. There's Lin-J Shell, and what he's going to do is drop into zone here. Romby Bryant is on the outside. Now take a look and watch what happens to Lin-J Shell in this zone. He loses his man in the deep zone, and he's got his eyes back here. He should have his eyes on the most dangerous threat, which is Romby Bryant. He doesn't. He gets caught with his feet dead, and Romby Bryant gets in behind him because of it.
Fifth lead change of the game. Chad Owens. And this time well contained.
Willie Middlebrooks is the corner who lines up on Romby Bryant on the touchdown throw, but his job is to jam him inside. There's Middlebrooks right there. Now what he wants to do is just jam him so Romby Bryant has to take an inside release. He does his job, and he's going to drop off in the zone. There's the inside release he wants. Now he's expecting help from the deep man over top, Lin-J Shell, who got caught looking at the quarterback and had the best ticket in the house to watch 83 in the end zone.
A little shovel pass to Andre Dury. And Dury up across the 40, close to a first down near the 43.
Rolando Steinauer is the defensive back coach, and he was a coach during his 13 years as a defensive back in the Canadian Football League. Four-time All-Canadian, and that's gonna be one that he goes back to the film and just discusses with Lin-J Shell that when you drop in that zone, know where the most dangerous deep man was. That was Romby Bryant. He got locked in, staring at the quarterback too long.
Second and one, Boyd ahead. He's got a first down. A little bit more. Charleston Hughes finally wrestles him down. So last thought on Steinauer. You knew Dave Dickinson was going to be a good coach if he wanted to be in the league, and I think we had the same sense about Michael O'Shea and Orlando Steinauer. Nice to see them on this Argo staff.
You know, just because you were a great player doesn't make you a great coach. You have to be able to communicate the game to the player. You can't just walk in and say, well, this is how I did it, because those are Hall of Famers you're talking about. Potential.
Barry Boyd back-to-back 100-yard games. Lemon on a roll, and he's stripped to the football. And it is picked up by Keon Raymond. Gary knocked it out of his hands. And whose ball is it? Should be Calgary football, and it is.
See who the last touch is on the sideline, because Raymond picked it up on the hop and gets stripped again. First of all, Cleo Lemon on the roll has it out in one hand, and he gets stripped as it is running there in one hand.
Jawan Simpson pried it loose.
Raymond scoops it. Now it's out again, bounces in bounds.
So Calgary gets the ball back on the fourth Argo turnover. John Cornish in the game. Flag down as Cornish surges to the Toronto 36. Cornish with a fumble in the...
Major foul, face mask. Toronto number 78. 15 yards at the end of the play. First down.
That's costly. Adriano Belli got his hand on the face mask of John Cornish.
You know, John Hufnagel talked about, you can see the face mask right there clearly from Belli. Hufnagel talked about getting the ball to John Cornish more often throughout this season. Hasn't happened really so far this year. But then again, Joffrey Reynolds has been off to such a great start.
There's Bruce. And Romby Bryant has another catch. Brought down by the corner, Evan McCullough. Close to another Calgary first down.
Oh, both these teams have been pretty good when they've been backed up and holding the offenses to field goal attempts. That's why we have such a low-scoring game this deep into the third. Question is, what does Dave Dickinson have here? He's going to get a measurement that buys him some time through the playbook.
Might get a free play, although we found out tonight There haven't been any freebies for the Argos. So it is 2nd and inches.
Just a few plays on that play card in the hand of Dave Dickinson there.
Former Argo Cody Pickett on the sidelines. One of Calgary's 3 quarterbacks. There's Rick Campbell. Has moved over from Winnipeg. Now the running back coach with the Stampeders. After many years in Edmonton.
With Nick Lewis on the sideline, they're going to have their big boy team out there.
With the push, he didn't need much, and he should have enough.
Yeah, the way it's going in short yardage, it's probably a prudent play. Just go ahead and do the safe play, get that first down, get a new set. And it also looks like you may have an Argo defense that's starting to fatigue a little bit. Strategically, an interesting game with regards to the Argos and some of the decisions from Jim Barker in short yardage and gambling rather than going for field position. Gambling on 3rd and 1 at the 1 and not getting in early in the game.
Just short blitz, backs off, and now into the end zone. Touchdown, Dion Murphy. Another easy score, Burris to Murphy. As the Stampeders take control here in the 3rd quarter.
Jason Pottinger is going to try and show blitz here. And he's going to go up in the line of scrimmage, number 46, middle of your screen. Does not fool the veteran in Henry Burris at all. This is 12 years in the league. He's seen that many, many times. And Willie Pyle gets caught.
So a pair of 3rd quarter touchdowns coming off Argonaut turnovers. Maver adds the extra point. As the Stampeders take charge, 17 points off turnovers.
The Argos again choosing to play zone defense. This time the safety, Willie Pyle, is going to get caught looking at Nick Lewis on the play short, and he lets Murphy in behind him. Nick Lewis is right here, and look how the safety Pyle is not seeing that seam in behind him. His responsibility is deep. He's got to be deep as the deepest receiver. He gets caught looking at Nick Lewis. Touchdown, Calgary.
Hey. Shout out again to my brother, man. We'll go down, Baby D, a.k.a. Damien. Houston, my city so great.
Dion Murphy with his first CFL touchdown, and he was rapping. Was he rapping, man? Is that a rap? I think that was a rap. Eric Fraser down on the special teams again.
That's what we do, man. We score touchdowns. That's all we do.
A little upset when he went 105 and didn't have a touchdown on Saturday in Hamilton.
Like I say, shout out H-Town. I'm always put it out there. Acres Home, Texas.
You could add music to that. You got a song. That's a good play. Got in behind Willie Pyle.
Nick Lewis over there. Texas finest out, so he gets props.
I know he was Nick.
And Nick Lewis was the decoy.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, if they all gonna be on me,
they're all gonna cover him,
like he said. Boyd, and this time contained at the line of scrimmage. Malik Jackson.
I just know they cover me down there. I don't know why they cover me down there. Mama, I'm cramping.
Nick Lewis said, if they're going to all cover me, we'll just go to Dion Murphy.
Hey, TSN. Is Milt here tonight?
Milt's here.
Milt. I seen him off the record, so I know he's in town. I know you in town, Milt. I know you in town.
Likes Calgary's 3rd quarter a lot better than the first half.
Don't be hiding. Yeah. We go 3-0, Milt.
2nd and 11. Clear 11 underneath. Flag on the play. Big hit there. The ball popped out of Brandon Rito's hands, out of bounds, but it will remain Argo football. Let's find out what the flag is on the opposite side of the field. Looks like procedure.
Offside. Toronto number 16. 5-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
It's a couple times we've seen Rideau, when he has been the intended target, be a little hasty.
Yeah, he does. He's a crosser, going to come right across the formation. Jumped the gun a little bit, but boy, did he deliver a blow on Milt Collins.
So now it's 2nd and 16. Here comes the blitz. Lemon got it away, but incomplete. Out of the reach of Corey Boyd, who was well tracked on the play by Juwan Simpson. And another flag comes down. Rob Murphy having words with somebody on that Calgary defensive line.
Murphy saying, you got to think.
And does this give, wouldn't be a first down, or would it be an automatic first down?
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Calgary number 91, 15 yards, first down.
Tay George. Argos needed some kind of break, and they get one with under 3 minutes to go, third quarter.
Tay George lines up right over Rob Murphy right here. It's going to be a one-on-one battle, and Tom Johnson is involved. Now, Tom Johnson hits the quarterback late there, lowers his head. I'm not sure they didn't get the number wrong, because Tom Johnson had the late hit on Cleo Lemon.
So it is a first down. Corey Boyd straight ahead, and a couple for Boyd. Just over 2 minutes to go, and Boyd has done the bulk of the work on this Toronto offense tonight.
New set of downs for the Argos here. If they can convert, Tom Johnson gets a chance on the bench to sit beside Hufnagel and think about it for a second.
Tie over the backfield. Christian couldn't hang on.
You got to give Milt Collins some credit here, man. He jumped up in that play and put a good hit on Ryan Christian, and that was after 3 plays ago where he took a big one from Brandon Rideau.
Like Christian was not only covered, but was trying to stay out of the way of the umpire.
Right there.
So Dion Murphy awaits. Ball on the boot. Murphy from his 18. And he hits the deck at the 30-yard line.
Flag down.
And there are flags, a couple of flags on the field in different spots.
Yeah, and one of them at the line of scrimmage. It's more than 5 yards.
Well, the kick was in the air. Holding. Calgary number 94. 10-yard penalty. First down.
So that backs John Hufnagel's offense inside their own 10-yard line. 14 unanswered points here in the third quarter for Henry Burris. Both touchdowns coming after Argo turnovers. One a turnover on downs and the other a Cleo Lemon fumble. Joffrey Reynolds wrapped up after a couple of yards. Kevin Iben there to make the tackle. And our sack tally feature brought to you by Purolator, tackling hunger across Canada. Check.
Saskatchewan Roughriders closing in on Winnipeg after a big game in Empire Field in BC, where they had, I believe, 17 hurries, 8 hits on the quarterback, and 4 sacks.
Ron Fleming's the only sack tonight for the Argos. Second down, the pitch goes to Ryan Felwell. Back in the Calgary lineup, and another flag in that area. tore his Achilles last September in Hamilton, and some wondered, would that be the end of the career for this great veteran Canadian receiver?
Then he worked his way back, went to training camp, felt good.
Holding. Calgary number 2. Half the distance to the goal line. Repeat second down.
That's a big one.
Sam.
Yeah, that's a big one, because that had moved the chains. Then now they're going to have to go back and do it over again. But to finish the thought, with Thelwell gets in the preseason, twists his ankle. So that slowed his recovery and his return back to the lineup. So when you looked at Henry Burris's receiving core without Kenyon Rambo and Ryan Thelwell, a lot of young faces in there, a lot of new guys.
Thelwell back, Burris beaming when John Hufnagel made that announcement yesterday, and Kenyon Rambo could be back for the next Stampeder game. From his end zone, Burris has to dump it off, and it's incomplete. And the Argo defense needed a stop and gets one with 16 seconds left in this third quarter. Calgary's conceded 2 safeties tonight. Will this be number 3?
And you got to believe that they'll be giving up the third one for a couple of reasons. One, you're so deep in your end zone. Bergdale's good 8 yards, 9 yards back there. But number 2, Chad Owens is a return man.
Final play, third quarter. Dales puts down the knee, and the Argos get 2 points closer. But it was a big third quarter for Calgary. Touchdowns by Murphy and Bryant to a 24-15 Calgary lead. Third quarter stats are brought to you by Tim Hortons, proud sponsor of the CFL.
Points off turnovers, an interesting number there. The Argos and the Stamps very close here. For Toronto, you can see they have a running game. They have a quarterback that gives them hope. Calgary Stampeders not playing near their best football and are ahead and have a chance to win this game. Good sign when you're not playing your best, but you can win.
And you could probably say the same about the way they played in Hamilton, but they're 15 minutes away from a 3-0 start. Your thoughts on the missed opportunities here by Toronto?
Yeah, I think that's one thing that a lot of people will talk about here in Toronto is some of the decisions that Jim Barker has made. I know he likes to be aggressive, and I know he likes to play on that edge that he talks about, but a couple of times it's backfired on him here tonight.
There's Owens on the return, and he drops the football. Looks like the Argos got it back. And the Argos can't afford any more turnovers tonight.
Well, it was early on in the game, and the offense for the Toronto Argonauts took advantage of a turnover. We're right down on the 1-yard line and went for it on third down, and we're stuck at the line of scrimmage. Brandon Browner in the middle of that. They also went for a gamble at midfield. Again, it was a yard away. Did not get there. And those points off turnovers loom large.
Here's Lemon. Holds it. And now just tosses it away. And Cleo Lemon got hammered as he delivered the football as Charleston Hughes was bearing down.
Well, deep down the field, Corey Boyd had opened up, but it was just too late for Lemon. He was trying to hold on as long as he could, and because of that, he pays the price for it. You're right, that's a big one from Charleston Hughes because Lemon wants to save the loss and throw it out of bounds, so he has to expose his ribs there. You can see with his head snapping back, that's a big, big hit.
Second and 10, quick hit over the middle. Chad Owens uses his speed. Cut down at the end of the play. Dwight Anderson with the tackle, and Owens has been shaken up.
Early on in this game, we talked about how they didn't get first downs, but Cleo Lemon was throwing the quick slant on the blitz. That's Juwan Simpson coming on the blitz from the linebacking core, and the slant coming in here. This is the quick release. The idea being You throw it quick to get it out of the quarterback's hands and hope your receiver in Chad Owens can make a play and make a guy miss. He does. Now I know people just hoping that he's okay because he got jammed right on his head.
Talk about how physical Brandon Browner is on one quarter, but that was a heck of a defensive play by Dwight Anderson off the other quarter. And the good news is Owens getting up.
And I think it was the legs cut out from underneath him here, and that how he landed right on the side of his head. And check out his neck, make sure he's okay.
18-yard gain. The Argos move it to the Calgary 41. The fake to Durian. That pass over the head of Ryan Christian. They've been trying to hit that one tonight with limited success.
Milt Collins got chopped down there, and it looked, he is injured for the Calgary Stampeders. Brandon Browner was very upset and was after the officials. He felt like it was an illegal block, the ball in the air.
Collins, who's delivered plenty big hits. He was a safety last year. They tried him at Sam linebacker in training camp, but moved him back into defensive halfback. Let's find out what happened to him.
Timing was off on the play, a lot of motion, and because of some penetration, there's not very good timing for the Argos. So the ball's high, and there's Collins there, and I think it's Jeffrey Webb with the ball in the air, puts his shoulder right on the chin of Milt Collins, and that's obviously against the rules. You're not, the ball in the air, allowed to hit a defensive back in pursuit like that. Now, in fairness to Webb, it didn't look malicious as if he was trying to do it. It looked like the timing was just off on the play.
Brandon Isaac will come on to take his spot, but right now a timeout on the field early fourth quarter. CFL on TSN action continues Saturday as the Eskimos travel to Mosaic in Regina to take on the Rough Riders. The big 100th anniversary celebrations there in Saskatchewan. Live coverage begins on TSN 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific.
Is there a defense in the land that can slow down Darian Durant?
Eskimos in bad need of a victory.
Yeah.
You know, figure out how they lost to Calgary Saturday. I think the Eskimos are wondering what happened in the fourth quarter of their loss against Montreal. And the Argonauts had an opportunity to take a stranglehold on this early, and now we're trying to fight back. And Jermaine Copeland with his first catch of the second half. It's a big one, converting on 2nd and 10.
Oh, and he had to go down and get it. That's a tough catch, and Jermaine Copeland makes it look routine, but he's done that his whole career. He's got coverage on his back. He goes down and pulls that one right off the turf.
Might see the challenge flag here, and there it comes.
We will. Is his hand underneath it? Or is that ball touching the turf? Because when he pulls it up there, his hand appears to be underneath it. But as if any part of the ball hits that turf and he uses the turf to pin it against himself, that's no catch.
Calgary is challenging the ruling on the field of a completed pass. We'll review the play.
So the command center will take another look at that. Only took one replay for the Stampeders to respond. Chris Jones was hopping down the sidelines to get the attention of John Hufnagel. And
well, it's close enough. You got to take a look.
Would have been a big first down for the Argos, trailing by 9, but plenty of time left and in position to go in and score here. If the catch is negated, it will be a Grant Shaw field goal attempt. Copeland looks either like he's trying to do a sales job or that he thinks he made the catch.
Well, we're going to give Jake Ireland a chance to look at a blown-up version of it, even more so than my Telestrator Zoom feature. Because here's a blown-up look at it. Right hand looks like it's underneath. It's a matter of whether or not it turns over.
After review, the pass is incomplete. Second down.
And Copeland's hopping mad.
Yeah, you know, I'm a little surprised at this ruling, to be quite honest, and only because it was ruled a catch on the field of play, and we didn't even get the enhanced version in there before the ruling was made to overturn the call. And in order to overturn it, you have to have conclusive evidence. And boy.
So the ball spotted back at the 41. And it's 3rd and 10. Milton Collins heading to the Stampeder locker room. Do you leave the offense on here, or do you send Grant Shaw out? And after some deliberation, Shaw does come out.
Yeah.
For a while, it looked like he was leaving the offense out.
Now you turn, if you make that decision, you turn from aggressive play to riverboat gambler. Because 13 minutes, 12 seconds is an eternity. I mean, you have lots of time in this game.
Shaw's 8 for 9 on the year, 3 for 4 tonight. He's made from 40, 46, and 13, missed from 47. And this will be from 48.
Now, the longer field goals are easier to block because there's a low trajectory, and Brandon Browner is one of the best at it.
And they're also easier to return if missed. And Dion Murphy awaits. And he does miss that one to the left. And Murphy puts a knee down. And so it's an 8-point Calgary lead. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Rona, proud sponsor of the Canadian Football League. Rona, doing it right.
Dion Murphy had lots of room to run this out. It's now an 8-point game because of the decision he makes here, but you can tell how quickly that he decides here. Look at all the room he has in front of him. He decides quickly, so that looks like a coaching decision. He was told to go down.
They take over at the 41 after the missed field goal. Picked out. Kevin Albin, second of the game, and suddenly the momentum has turned. Argo's in a big hole because of turnovers, but they get one back.
Well, an interesting decision by John Hufnagel. You give up a single, and the whole reason for it, yes, you make it an 8-point game, but you get field position advantage. Ivan is right here and is not seen as he drops underneath the throw from Henry Burris. Little step up, and that's why Burris doesn't count him. That little step disguise and tricks Burris there. He gets the interception, so now that field position advantage changes it in a heartbeat on the turnover. And it's an 8-point game.
Argos have no points on turnovers, 17 for Calgary in the game. Brandon Isaac tossing him down. The man who replaces the injured Milt Collins with a huge defensive play for the Stampeders.
Yeah, it was, because he was so disciplined coming off the edge that he did not get influenced by the play fake and come underneath. He's just to the right of the goalpost right here. Now he's going to come upfield and go to quarterback and not be influenced by Boyd, the running back in the middle. Watch how number 30 stays upfield. High upfield shoulder and is right there. Not influenced by the play fake.
Loss of 11. 2nd and 21. 3-man rush. Underneath. He's taken down quickly as Malik Jackson and Brandon Browner converged in a hurry. And any momentum after the interception nullified by that Calgary defense.
That's a disciplined play by Brandon Isaac to really bail out the situation in the turnover, because he could have seen a huge momentum swing. But for a young player to come in like that, a rookie, and be so disciplined on the quarterback and his responsibility is a big, big play for Calgary right now.
Force the Argos out of field goal range. Bourne's going to take off. And Jamie Bourne illegal forward fumble. Penalty markers on the play in different spots. Well, we saw Paul McCallum try unsuccessfully last week in Vancouver, and
again, it almost looks, because it was so automatic, that it was a called play, although
this potentially the 4th turnover on downs on the night for Toronto.
Holding. Calgary number 42. 10-yard penalty. Repeat third down.
Big break.
Wow, what a break for the Toronto Argonauts and Jamie Borum. Now, I'm not sure if that was called from the sideline. By the look at Jim Barker, I don't think so. He looked a little surprised when he was talking to Michael O'Shea, the special teams coach, about that play and that call.
And now
they're back in possible field goal range.
They're in field goal range, and now the field goal unit comes on. They had the punt team on, and once they spot the ball at the 41, on comes Grant Shaw to try it again. He'll load it back up from 48, where he missed just a few moments ago.
And if he does miss, does this one come out? I mean, it came out to make it an 8-point game. It was a single conceded.
Hits this one truer, and the kid comes through. And now it's a 5-point Calgary lead, so that holding call on Mike Labinjo turns out to be costly.
Well, it's a big one, and it's Mike Labinjo, and this is on a tough week for Labinjo, who, as he comes through, he's gonna grab and tackle the man over top of
Joffrey Reynolds. And Reynolds, who was stopped at the line of scrimmage initially, up to the 40-yard line, has 5.
That's very difficult to see, but he's right in there, and you're going to see Mike Labinjo with the tackle right at the 50-yard line, or the 45-yard line right here. And that tackle puts 3 on the board for the Argos. And may put Labinjo back in the doghouse.
2nd and 5, 6 receivers out, short drop and pressure, and down goes Henry Burris. Kevin Huntley with a big sack for the Argonauts. And he now has 1 in each of his first 3 games of 2010.
Big push on Steve Middleton right here, as big Kevin Huntley at 6'7", 300 gets that push, and that, folks, is one of the best bull rushes you're going to see. He just lowers his pad level and will drive Steve Middleton, number 59, back right into the lap of Henry Burris, who has no chance.
6'7", 294 pounds, number 94. 2nd sack of the game for the Argos. Chad Owens fields the punt at the 29. Brandon Browner down first, but it's the second wave that gets Chad Owens as Rob Cote makes the special teams tackle. Well, Cleo Lemon has maybe taken a step back in the second half in his CFL progress, but here he is with just under 10 minutes to go in a position to still win this game.
Well, and lots of time that you're not abandoning your playbook and your game plan and leaving Corey Boyd, and guess what? Mike Labinjo is not on the defensive unit right now.
They don't abandon Corey Boyd, and he'll push the pile up to the 40. 6 more for Boyd.
And there's different personnel groupings, so this may just be that. But Mike Labinjo walked up by some of the assistant coaches, and they said, no, you just stay here with us for a second. I watched him do it, and he got the Heisman when he tried to go on the field.
Been a tough trip back home for Mike Labinjo. 2nd and 4. Fake. Lemon himself, and we haven't seen this much tonight. But at a big time, Cleo Lemon has a first down run.
And that's what, when you talk about a manageable situation on 2nd down, that's what you're talking about. Because if you have success on 1st down, which Corey Boyd did, getting over 5 yards, then when Cleo Lemon gets in trouble here, Cleo Lemon, it's manageable trouble. He could step up in the pocket, and all he needs is 4 to pick up a first, and he gets it. If that's 2nd and 10, he probably doesn't get there.
Up to the Argo 52, his first run of the game. And now Ryan Christian trying to get outside. Isaac couldn't bring him down. What a pop there from Dwight Anderson. And again, those corners really can dish it out for Calgary.
Well, and it's a fast defense. I asked John Hufnagel about his defense. I said, what's the difference between this defense and last year? And even go back to 2008. He said, I think this defense is quicker, certainly quicker than last year. No question about that. But he said, but we're as fast, if not faster, than 08, the championship year. So that defense rallies in a hurry, and they got there with some big hits.
Well, he's not number 7, but the Argos think that Ryan Christian can play the Weston Dressler role. There's a pass for Owens, and he got down to, no, they're going to rule incomplete. Like Chad Owens came close to saving that for the Argos at 1st down territory, but the pass delivered low did hit the turf.
Comes in from the right of your screen. No question that one went through, and the correct call made on the field by the officials there. The Copeland one, I was a little surprised at that ruling, but there is no question that that ball hit the turf.
So from midfield, the Argos will punt, and I don't think Jamie Borham's going to take any chances. Had a little trouble with the snap. Gets it away. Murphy from his 16, and he'll be bumped out by Delroy Clark. Just under 7 minutes left. Well, our game story is brought to you by Mr. Lube.
You see, the Argos have found a running game in Corey Boyd, another 100-yard game for him. And the Calgary Stampeders in those first two, both players got off to a slow start. Nick Lewis had a couple of drops, but then came back with a touchdown, and so did the offense and Henry Burris, but he comes storming back with 3 TDs.
2 goal line stands from Calgary in the first half. And they vaulted into the lead in the second half. That pass for Robbie Bryant is incomplete. Henry Burris with 2 touchdown passes coming into this game, 3 more on the night.
And it took a while to get going, about a quarter and a half, but after a couple of miscues to Lewis, they finally hook up for a touchdown there. This was the blown coverage, and the corner route, and a real tough throw by Burris. And then he gets Dion Murphy in behind Willie Pyle.
Milestone touchdown pass for Burris, number 150, as a Stampeder. 2nd down from the 20. Here comes the rush. Burris in trouble. Back at the goal line. Got away. And now delivers downfield, intercepted. Willie Pyle, the safety, steps in front of R.J. Franklin. Henry Burris got away, but then gave it away.
Boy, I tell you, veteran football players make mistakes too, but then they'll bounce back from them, and they'll come back. Willie Pyle, we had just shown you the touchdown where Pyle had got caught shallow on a touchdown pass to Dion Murphy. Well, this time he plays very disciplined. He doesn't lose his position. He stays there and is ready to jump this coming back. He rolls with Burris, gets to the sideline. Burris had bought some time and did not see him at all in his field of vision. Good play by Pyle.
Thank you, Jesus.
Willie Pyle gives the Argos the ball at the 40. Corey Boyd to the 35 has 5.
That's what we do.
Under 6 to go, 5-point lead.
That's the defensive back short memory.
Save me. Save me.
Gave up one. Come back and get one.
How you feeling, JY?
4 turnovers per team in this game. The difference, Calgary has scored 17 points off their turnovers.
First interception of the season, and that goes in the trophy case for Willie Pyle.
And as a CFL safety.
Yes.
Second down, and a slant complete for first down, and Jeffrey Webb with the catch. Remember we mentioned early first half, Jim Barker challenged his receivers to be better tonight.
And it's that slant that they like to throw. It's a quick play. If you get inside position, and Webb gets inside position on Brandon Browner, you have a chance.
First down, Toronto at the 26. Lemon with time, looks to the end zone, channel, and double teamed as Dwight Anderson and Brandon Smith in coverage.
Great discipline on that interception by Willie Pyle, who's going to drop back into the middle. And Pyle is going to play discipline, wait for Burris to come out. He sits on it, sits on it, sits on it, and then as he comes out, he jumps it. And you can see as you followed him back there, he never came out to go up and get influenced by the fact that Burris may run.
5 receivers set, second and 10. Short drop, second read, in the flat, picked off. And there is Brandon Browner. They went his way again, and Browner makes the rookie quarterback pay.
Yeah, and that is the quarterback. You put that one right on Cleo Lemon, because not only was the timing off on the throw, but it was behind the target. And when you throw a timing out on the sideline, when you throw that timing play, you got to throw it now before he makes his break. If you're late at all, you're in big trouble, especially with Brandon Browner sitting out there on that corner. He does get him turned, but you can see the great reaction, and that ball thrown in behind Jeffrey Webb.
So the lead remains 5. Calgary takes over. 5th turnover of the night for the Argos. 4:04 left on the clock. And a punt for Burris, who's in trouble. Huntley was wrestling him to the turf as Burris got it away. Incomplete.
You know, the Toronto Argonauts are trying to find out what kind of team they have, and this is going to be a work in progress. And what they can say is they've got a great defensive line. Adriano Belli and Kevin Huntley, as good as it gets in the middle. Pottinger has played well at the middle linebacker. They've got to improve their tackling, and they've got a tremendous running game offensively.
Second and 10. Big rush. Pottinger blitzing, and they get to the quarterback. Alex Busby sacking Burris back at the 14. 3rd sack of the night for the Argos front.
Blitz coming off the edge from a guy that had such a great camp that Jim Barker said, we're going to start a Canadian at middle linebacker and Jason Pottinger. He comes off the edge free. And then he forces Burris to step right up in the hands of Alex Busby.
So the Argos should get the ball in good field position. Burke Dales. Line drive punt. Midfield Owens finds a crease. And then gets run out. Good pursuit on the play by the rookie linebacker, who's made a couple of special team plays tonight, Carl McCartney. So Cleo Lemon still has the game in the balance, trailing by 5 with one more play before the 3-minute warning.
And how does he bounce back psychologically from the last throw that was intercepted by Brandon Browner?
Corey Boyd straight ahead. High steps. And inside the 30, another powerful run for Corey Boyd. Calgary 25-yard line. So the Argos are not done yet. The 3-minute warning at Rogers Center. Wendy's Friday Night Football continues this week. Doubleheader of action. Game 1, the Bombers and the Ticats beginning at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. And then the Alouettes and the Lions at Empire Field, 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. But game 1 of week 3 still very much up for grabs here. Corey Boyd now with 145 on the night. Cleo Lemons pass for 158. Going here with a flag down, and that ball caught by Webb. Down to the 10, and Danderson wrestles him at the 8. There is a flag. Let's find out what it's all about.
Yeah, I got to see what that flag's about. It looked like Brandon Browner took another chance at the football and almost had it.
Argos indicating it's against Calgary.
There's no infraction on the play. Number 67 had reported as an eligible receiver. First down.
So no alignment problem, and it is a first down.
Boy, it is a game of inches, and Brandon Browner tracks Webb all the way across the field there, and he takes him on that side. Webb runs that pattern. The ball is, the timing almost split second, and Brandon Browner goes 80 yards.
But here they are again, third time tonight. Argos first and goal. Failed to score in the first half. Here comes the blitz, swinging right. Brian Crawford trying to get to the corner. Touchdown! Stretched out low. He hit the pylon, but they're ruling him out at the 2. Looked like Crawford got the pylon. Chad Owens over there to help the official with the spot, but no argument from the backup tailback for the Argos.
Yeah, the question is, was his foot on the strike before he touched the, and you could see,
great call.
He was out right at the 2-yard line with his knees prior to the ball touching. Go ahead, Chris.
Excuse me, Glenn. Knee on the paint before he did reach to get the pylon. Jawan Simpson, the middle linebacker, cut him off to prevent the touchdown.
And inside of 3 minutes, they may be taking a look at this upstairs. The officials might want to just take another quick look, but I think their call was made right.
Has requested a review.
And a break for the Argos. They get a chance to confer here on what they're going to do.
Yeah, they get a chance to first of all get their offensive line a bit of a break, but also get a couple play calls and a couple of options discussed between Cleo Lemon, Jim Barker on the sideline. And I don't think this will be a long review because it looked pretty clear.
Well, the Argo coaching staff did take a look at the big screen. They just saw the pylon and signaled touchdown, but
and in this game tonight, Chris, 2 yards has been like 2 miles in short yardage for the Argonauts against this Calgary defense.
And John Huffnagel's team slammed the door in the face of this Argo offense 3 times in one night. And again, looking for a sweep of Southern Ontario because of their goal line defense.
After review, the ball has been respotted on the 1-yard line. Second down.
Well, they got a better spot.
Well, there you go. And that's important in that the officials go up and make sure they had the spot right. He was clearly out of bounds before the pylon was touched by the ball. But another look at it shows that when he did go out of bounds, he was in between the 1 and the 2, and they put it on the 1.
So a good review by the command center. And it's second and goal from the 1. Jeff Johnson, the running back. Jeff Johnson, touchdown. 5 down. Well, let's find out what this penalty's all about.
Offside. Calgary number 27. That penalty is declined. Touchdown is scored.
Argos take the lead. Jim Barker will go for 2 and try to make it a 3-point advantage.
And Rob Murphy has made 2 enormous blocks at the point of attack. Murphy, the left tackle, has come down twice on Malik Jackson and opened up a gaping hole for his running backs. One a couple of plays ago, and that one down on the goal line.
Plenty of time left for Calgary. But the Argos trying to make it a 3-point lead. Into the end zone, jump ball, Chatterley. He's got it. Number 2 with the 2-point convert. And the Toronto Argonauts have a 27-24 lead.
But lots and lots of time to go for the Calgary Stampeders. Rob Murphy on the offensive line, imposing his will on Malik Jackson in the last series. And no bigger than this block on the 2-pointer. He's protection on Mike Labinjo. He drives Labinjo, giving Cleo Lemon some time. And Lemon throws it in. The Calgary Stampeders, Dwight Anderson lost sight of the football just long enough.
So it's 6 lead changes in the night. And a game that has not been full of offense is certainly full of intrigue right now.
Intrigue, strategy, an interesting one here in that Calgary Stampeders are going to have lots of time. Rob Murphy has been big. He is playing that left tackle, and he on Malik Jackson on a couple of plays in this series gets the low pad level, and look at the drive as he takes Malik Jackson back about 3 or 4 yards, and he does the same thing right here early on in that same drive. Again, boom, right here, and it's Corey Boyd that time, the big first down.
Stamps have led by 11. Now the Argos got to win a home opener for the first time in 4 years. Dion Murphy up across the 31. The Stampeders have won the last 6 meetings against the Argonauts, but they will have to answer late tonight to make it 7 consecutive wins.
And it's always the balancing act, whether or not to go with straight pressure with the possibility of giving up the big play, or do you try and be conservative and play in coverage?
Henry burst to it over the middle, almost picked. Willie Pyle got a hand on it. Nick Lewis was about 7 yards behind him.
Henry Burris cannot believe he got away with that one because communication issues. He thought Nick Lewis was going to do that. What Nick Lewis did was do that. And when Willie Pyle saw that, he had the best chance of the football. Nick Lewis looks there and then goes up the field, and Pyle sits on it.
And if he was a receiver, we'd call that a drop, wouldn't we? Pyle's got a big one in this game. 2nd and 10. Big rush, kick hitter. Robbie Bryant steps out with 1:38 to go. And an important first down for Calgary.
Robbie Bryant just dies on the sideline. He just hangs out there as the Argonauts drop into the deep zone. Shell underneath, Willie Middlebrooks in behind that, and Bryant finds the soft spot in between.
13 for Bryant. Godfrey Reynolds looking for a hole. To the 48. And 4 for Reynolds.
So far, the Argonauts defensively have gone with 4-man pressure, causing Henry Burris to try and keep his game plan in it. Throw it underneath, intermediate. Do they play man and send some pressure here now?
2nd and 6. Burris. And through the hands. And he's intercepted. Yes. Picked up by Aaron McCullough, his 2nd of the game. And he's dropped at the Calgary 43-yard line. 4th interception of the game for the Argos. team that had only 11 all of last year.
Did he catch it? Is the question. Ball up in the air. Little bit of juggling there. Hard to tell. The ruling on the field is interception. This look will be better. Both hands there. I'm not sure he did.
On the field is an interception. The replay official has requested a review.
Well, I'm not sure he did. And I think they're going to take a look at this. Now, that last angle was a very good look at it, and it looked like it may have bounced. So Henry Burris may get a third down attempt here.
Tremendous athletic play by Evan McCullough, but. And that's the beauty of the video replay. Maury Clark on the headset to the command center. Let's take another look.
This is the best angle. McCullough extends, and it was very athletic play. Is that ball between his hands? Is that ball sitting on the ground? I don't think he's got his arms underneath there. And this play may be overturned. Let's put it this way. That's a much tighter and closer look than the Copeland catch earlier on.
Well, that would be the 5th interception of the night, but will it stand? If it doesn't, it'll be 3rd down Calgary.
After review, the pass is incomplete. It'll be 3rd down.
Stampeders still have life.
They have life. They're hanging on the edge. They have one play.
John Huffnagel's team is. The Stampeders have not gone 3-0 to start a season since 2000. Toronto Argonauts have not won back-to-back games since 2007. Which way does this go with 71 seconds remaining? 3rd down. And Dave Dickinson needs a play that will come up with at least 6 yards. From the 48. To stay alive, Burris. Jason Pottinger knocks it out of the hands of Joffrey Reynolds, and it's a turnover on downs.
And Henry Burris wants a penalty, but I think Pottinger did a real nice job of not keeping that left hand on the back of the running back Joffrey Reynolds out of the backfield. There's Reynolds right here. He's going to come out of the backfield and picked up by the middle linebacker Jason Pottinger, who was in behind the post. Watch him out of the backfield. Now good coverage here as they go out of the backfield and into the right flat. As they go out to the right, the hand is over there, but doesn't twist Joffrey Reynolds. It stays on him, does not twist him. The refs are looking to see if Reynolds' shoulder pads and body will twist in the air. It didn't. A great play by Jason Pottinger.
Big play by the Whitby native Jason Pottinger. Now Jeff Johnson with the carry to the 45 as the Argos try to eat up this final minute. Former BC Lion back up there, middle linebacker. Back up for Zeke Moreno last year. And
yeah, big shoes to fill.
Now in his 5th year, he's a starter and just made a big-time defensive play.
Yeah, and Jim Barker says he's such a student of the game, watches as much film as the coaches do, and continues to make plays. That was a big, big one.
Winding the clock down. 2nd and 7. Johnson, big first down. Jeff Johnson with the go-ahead touchdown, his 2nd of the year. He also had one in Calgary. That should just about do it.
Dominic Picard, the center, gets the key block on this play, and that offensive line has really stepped up their game here. Watch Dominic Picard right in the middle of your screen. Seal. He snaps that shotgun. He gets up on Juwan Simpson right there. Seal there. Good blocks on that side, and enough there for Jeff Johnson to squirm through there. That offensive line led by Rod Murphy has really made a statement in the 4th quarter.
first down, and they'll be able to run it out. And a team that some wondered might not win a game this year has won 2 of its first 3. Jim Barker said the challenge after Winnipeg was to prove to the league they could do it again, establish some consistency. Wasn't easy here tonight, but they outscored Calgary 12-0 in the fourth quarter.
And that short week and an Eastern swing climbed up and grabbed with the Calgary Stampeders in the backside.
And the fans here at Rogers Center jubilant as the Toronto Argonauts come back to claim a victory in their home opener. Argos move into first place in the CFL East, winning 2 of their first 3, and Burris congratulates Cleo Lemon. Toronto roaring back, a dozen in the fourth quarter. They win it 27-24. So long from Rogers Center. Sports Center's next.